Hello everyone, thanks for joining in. My name is Vijay Vardhan, Director Product Management for Case Management. Today we're going to talk about one of the exciting feature we have introduced in Pega Infinity 24.1 release. We call it as Pega GenAI Coach. And with me, I have Arun Kumar Sarada, who's going to talk more about this feature. So Arun, why don't you tell us more about what Pega GenAI Coach is all about?
Sure, Vijay. So I'm truly excited today to talk more about this Pega GenAI Coach capability, which we introduced in 24.1 release. So Pega GenAI Coach acts as a personal coach for every employee in an organization to perform their work more effectively. So it provides guidance around the best practices that an employee needs to follow in order to accomplish their work. It can summarize the cases uh, in which the employee is working on, and also it can answer to the any questions within the context which the employee is working on. And it purely leverages the generative AI technology, and we have provided all the building blocks required, providing these coaching capabilities for different users based on what they do day in day out as part of their job.
That sounds very, very interesting, Arun. So can you help us with an example, probably as a use case scenario, and then how GenAI Coach in that use case really helps the employees to perform their work effectively?
Sure, Vijay. So let's take an example of the insurance sector where claim processing workflow is built. And as part of the claim processing workflow, there would be different personas who would be participating in the processing the claim. So whether it would be an adjuster, whether it would be underwriter or an insurance agent. Now, with the coach capability, what we have introduced in 24.1, uh, application developers can tailor these coaches such that it suits to the needs of the persona, like what coaching they required in order to perform their job effectively.
Wonderful. Is there any demo which we can see and then walk us through the demo part? Like how does it really looks like in runtime when an employee is interacting to perform a claim processing?
Definitely, Vijay. So let's get into action. So here I have a case type called a process medical claim. So you can see the life cycle of the case type is defined, where the claim information is requested and then the verification is done, and then finally the processing of the claim is happening here. So let's review the application, and let's start creating a new claim. So here I'm going to take help of generative AI to fill the claim form. So here all the details of the patient are filled and provided, and once submitted, so now the adjuster can get started with processing the claim. So now you can see on the left there is a tab called Pega GenAI Coach, and once we click on the tab, this is how the users of the application can access Coach. So here, as I'm an adjuster, I have created a claims adjuster coach and configured the initial instructions such that it can provide me the summary of this claim, what has happened so far in this claim. So now as an adjuster, I can look at this summary, and then I could also uh, ask questions to the coach. So like, for example, I want to understand what is that information I need to look at in order to determine the coverage. So let me ask coach. So it provides me all the different steps
Awesome.
which I need to follow.
Wonderful.
And on the right top, you can see like what is the information that is fed into this coach so that it can guide the adjuster. So here we can see like the instructions that are provided and what is the data this coach can interact with. So now you can see in this context of medical claim processing, so we have configured different data sources like history, pulse, summary, primary fields. So that helps coach generative AI to look into this data and accordingly respond back to the user queries and also provide coaching to the persona.
Awesome. So in this context, as you mentioned, like the claim adjuster coach is leveraging the information from this case context for history, pulse summary, and primary fields and auditing information. What if I want to like plug in my own specific contextual information, which is probably relevant to this case, but is not part of the case.
So that is also possible. So we have built this such that it is completely customizable and also completely flexible, so that this can be tailored based on business needs, what a business have, and also to the persona who's going to interact with this coach and perform their job. So now let's also look into like how I can configure as an application developer, how I can enable this coach as part of my application.
Awesome. Let's go.
So right now in Infinity 24.1 release, this can be done by going through Dev Studio, but eventually we'll be getting this capability through App Studio as well. So what we have to understand is there are two primary constructs that are available that needs to be remembered in order to enable the coach. One is we have introduced a new rule type called coach rule. And as part of that coach rule, that is where you would be configuring and you would be making aware and you would be making this coach very intelligent so that it can guide based on the persona to whom you are going to provide the coaching. So that is one part. And there is also a widget which is provided, and that widget needs to be embedded as part of the case so that the users can start interacting with the coach. So let's look at the first part of it. So right now on the screen, you see there is already a coach rule which I have defined called claims adjuster coach. And this is a rule instance, and these are the different instructions what I have provided. So the system instruction is more like an prompt or a boundary which you're providing, saying like what is the purpose of this coach and what kind of guidance it has to provide, and what kind of assistance it can provide to the user interacting with it. And the initial instruction is when someone is trying to access the coach, like what is that initial instruction that coach can get started with. This is purely optional. If it is configured, whenever someone accesses the coach, it executes this initial instruction. So in this scenario, what we have defined is like summarize what has happened so far inside this claim, and accordingly the coach summarizes so that I can look at that and easily understand what has happened so far. And the next step, what you see is the data source. So this is one of the important elements. So this is the crucial information which we want to provide to the coach, apart from the free-form text, what we have seen as part of the system instruction. Very often as part of our workflows, the data gets generated as and when the user interacts. So in our example, what we are seeing is the claim processing is a use case. So you never know in the design time, like what is the claim and all. So here, the ability to source the data dynamically using data pages can be configured as a different data sources. So in this example, if you look at, I have configured history, pulse summary, primary fields, field level audit, etc. But I can also extend this with other data sources that can help as part of my coaching, which I need to make to adjuster. Like for example, if I have to give the history of the previous claim a particular patient has raised in order to determine the eligibility of the amount, I'll be able to do as part of this. So this is the first part I was talking to. Now let's go to the second part, wherein I can go and configure the widget. So I go to the UX tab. So this is the case page where we can go and configure summary, different tabs, and the utilities that needs to be surfaced within the context of a particular case type. Mm-hmm. So here, if you look at, I have added a new tab called GenAI Coach, and let's get into that tab. And here, as part of this thing, we have provided an out-of-the-box widget called GenAI Coach. So now you can go and embed this widget. So once you embed this widget, you would be seeing that the users for whom you have configured this coach, they will be able to access Pega GenAI Coach through this tab.
So you're saying like step number 1, configure GenAI Coach at a case type level. Step number 2, add the widget in the UX tab, like what we see here on the screen, and that's it?
That's it.
Well, that's pretty easy. Sounds like very easy. So if I'm an application developer, this is amazing, Arun. So I can think about n number of scenarios where we can use GenAI Coach to ensure that users working on a given case can perform their job effectively, right? So if I have an application developer, where do I get started with? Like, how can I leverage this capability in a product?
So it is very straightforward, Vijay. Like as I have demonstrated, like what you have to do is first upgrade to 24.1. Get started with creating coach rules for a given case type. and just embed this widget as part of the case page. So that's how you'll be able to interact with the coach, and more detailed information with respect to the various configurations what we discussed you can find in our product help. So that's where I would recommend to get started with.
Awesome. Can't wait to try it for myself. Thanks, Arun. This is amazing feature in Infinity 24.1. So let me try it out first.
Anytime, Vijay. Have a good day.
Thank you.